The rain in Spain stays mainly in the...
Step by step through the sun and rain, over mountains, across the plains. WCBH is on the go. Join us as we walk the Camino.
Good morning, day 43. A little bit puffed already. Straight into another hill. 22 kilometres today from Portomarin to Palas de Rei. And if we go back to 2017, this was our nightmare day where that nearly broke us, wasn't it?
It was. I think part of it was checking to see how far we were along. And we'd estimated we only had 2K, but in reality we had 5. And we weren't as well prepared as we are now.
No, there's a big difference, isn't there? Firstly, we hadn't done the prep before we went away. Secondly, we went straight into big kilometres where we're actually much fitter now because this is day 43 of walking. We've built it up nicely. Thirdly, do you remember day 1? We were struggling with the cold because it was late December. We hiked in thermals for part of the day or the whole day, got to the accommodation, went to sleep with the heaters on in thermals, and then woke up a couple hours later, absolutely dehydrated, the both of us. And that would have had an impact on the following day because we would have gone into the day being dehydrated, which would have had flow-on effects, etc. That was pretty silly of us, what we did last time.
Yeah, we were very well cooked by the end of that. I think we woke up and both of us went to the restaurant and just ordered like 2 bottles of water and sat there and drank them to try rehydrate.
I remember waking up and feeling I'm going to be sick because I was so dehydrated. But anyway, we haven't had that issue so much on this. Well, not at all really on this walk, except for one day for me. And that was going into day 3 when we woke up in the albergue in the dormitory for Savalas. Because it was so cold, I'd slept in my jacket. Well, I woke up in the middle of the night, put the jacket on, and I woke up having a really big headache, and partly it would have been from cold and dehydration and lack of coffee, etc. But apart from that one day, every other day I've woken up feeling pretty good. So yeah, 2017, I remember walking into Palas de Rei. We're walking on our way to Palas de Rei, getting close, being heartbroken because we thought we were there and we're actually the town before there. So that taught us a good lesson of don't convince yourself that this is the town until you 100% know that it is the town. We cheat now, we've got GPS trackers, etc.
I know.
But my feet were so sore then. We had these heavy hiking boots, which we hadn't broken in, high ankle, not great comfort. And I can remember each step, my feet, it felt like the bones inside. I could feel them. And every step I was just walking on bruised feet. It was horrible day too. We did slowly get better after that, but the benefit of conditioning ourselves this time. What is the same as last time is we woke up, we got ourselves ready, we looked out the window, and everyone had wet weather gear on, and we could see in both directions a fair amount of weather around. So we're actually loaded up with our wet weather gear today like we were back in 2017. But fingers crossed, it just stays overcast and it doesn't rain. But I tell you what, I'm feeling the heat being sort of packaged up in this, rolled up in this plastic bag of wet weather gear as we walk up this very long and very steep hill.
Yeah, my gear isn't quite as hot. It's got vents in it, which is good. There were a few sprinkles when we started out. They seem to have disappeared, but it could come back.
Soon I'm going to take the weather jacket off just to cool things down, and might leave the wet weather pants on because they're a bit more difficult to get on when you're on the go. So 22 kilometres to Palas de Rei. It is beautiful walking out of Portomarin. There's a big river that runs through, like one of the in terms of width, one of the largest rivers that we've seen. It's up on top of a hill. And you'd have to say the bush that we're walking through now is right up there with some of the prettiest path and bush and trees that we've seen.
Yeah, we've been really lucky. The last few days have just been so beautiful on the path. And down there below was right up with it. It's starting to come out into some more open woodland, I think you'd say. We've lost all the moss-covered rocks and stuff. And I'm very out of breath because we're still going up.
Yeah, just to describe this hill a little bit further, this is going for over a kilometre, this hill, and we're at a fair degree of angle here. It's just unrelenting. It's not necessarily difficult but it's just because it's so long, it's unrelenting. But we're doing okay. Like, how many times have we actually stopped just to catch our breath? I think just once.
Once, I think.
And we can see the crest up here where we'll stop again. And that might be a good spot to take off this wet weather jacket. So we're here in Palas de Rei, and I thought we were walking 22 kilometres, but I've just plugged the distance into the phone, and it turns out it was actually 25 kilometres. Any surprise to you, Sherilyn?
No, I thought it was around that. And when you kept saying 22, I was like, no, I remember it being around 24, 25. And I do remember it being quite a difficult day of walking last time.
And it was challenging today, but we came into the town a lot stronger and a lot better off than we did back in 2017. Back in 2017, very sore. I didn't walk into town. I shuffled into town in a whole lot of pain, but we powered into town. We actually picked the pace up really in the last 5 kilometres. But that town, the one major town before here, we didn't make the same mistake as last time. Like, we knew we still had kilometres to go, and that's where
the Mirage Town,
but that's where we really lifted our game and picked up pace. But there was a fair amount of hills today, and it was a long stretch. How is your recollection of the walk compared to what you remember from 2017?
There were parts that I remembered. So the steep climb we did this morning, I have vague memories of that, but I definitely remember the top part being up in the open in the pine, and I remember the pine forest part where we were. It was further along on the trail. And then there were sections just before the Mirage Village, that hill. I remember that hill because we were excited last time going, we've only got a couple of kilometres. And in reality, I think at that stage, we probably had 5 to 6 kilometres to go. And the last stretch, I didn't remember the stretch being, the last 5K being that long. It felt really long.
Maybe it was longer than 5 kilometres because we thought it was 5 because we thought it was 22 kilometres in length, but it actually turned out to be 25 in length. So possibly it was 8 kilometres, that final stretch. The part and I kept saying it all the time, as we come into Palas de Rei, as we go down the hill, on the left there's a soccer field, there's a football field, and I think they've done some upgrades. Like they're playing on synthetic turf now, and I think the orientation of the pitch has changed. But the game was just starting this afternoon. That was sort of branded in my memory, and it's still there. So it's nice to be able to sort of remember something, and then you actually see it again and you think, yes, got that part right. But there was plenty today that I had forgotten about, or where I'd merged other days into one. Now, one of the things that we had today, which was a bit of a find, was the chocolate brownie.
Yes, that was delicious.
And that was at the Oasis town?
That was a little bit before. That was on the hill that we both remembered.
The hill on the way to the Oasis town. So
I'm town, yeah.
I'm going to put down that the reason that we came in feeling good and strong and powerful, it was because of that chocolate brownie.
It was very good brownie. The only thing that could have improved it was if it came out hot.
Oh, yeah, that would have been good. Now, we've had 2 relatively long days.
Yes.
The last 2 days. Yesterday was a hot baking day. Today was largely overcast and cold. It was cold today. The last little part of the day It did clear up, but it was still cold with a cold wind. The next 2 days are shorter, to Melide, to Azua, and then we pick up the distance to O Pedruzo and then to Santiago. I think it's about 20 kilometres on the last day.
20 kilometres. It's all right.
We're getting there. How many kilometres have we got left to go?
We have, according to the app, about 68.
Wow, 68. That's really getting low now.
It is.
Yeah, that will evaporate very, very quickly. It's quite amazing. It started at 790 and now it's down to 68.
It's very exciting.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the
Step by step through the sun and rain, over mountains, across the plains. WCBH is on the go. Join us as we walk the Camino.